Yeah, welcome to Loot Shooter Weekly,
There you go.
Season 3, Episode 5,
Right.
which I just titled Love and Guns this week, because we're back in Borderlands 3, and I am gamertag Burt Reynolds. This is the one and only golden voice of gaming, Negan Killjoy. We tried to get Horchata Beast to come back this week so that we could shame him about the fact that we've talked him into playing some Borderlands after he salted all over it last week, and he's been enjoying himself. But we could not convince him to come back, and yeah,
We've
he
convinced
noped
him
out on that.
what 3 times now to come back to Borderlands. So third
Although
time
this time
seems to be the
I
charm.
think it's stuck. I think it's stuck.
It did
We got him
stick.
to end game, got him a decent build, and I think he's having fun. So after salting all over this game last week, he's actually playing it, but he did not want to come on stream and admit to that, so he's not here tonight.
That's right. We're gonna trick him some other time to get on stream and have to tell the truth about it.
Tell the truth about the fact that he's having a ton of fun. Yeah, so we're taking a week off from the Division. We're playing this. The DLC for this, we mentioned it last week. It came out, I think it came out last week, but we were busy playing the Division. So many things, so many games releasing DLC right now or updates, and they're all games we play. You know, it's new season of Destiny, got a brand new DLC here, you got a major update to the Division and a major update to Ghost Recon Breakpoint that apparently made that game awesome. All the reviews I've read of that are like people are loving it and having a blast. And
nice.
That game was that game was in a bad spot. It made a significant enough impact apparently that a couple of the outlets that reviewed it originally gave it terrible scores, re-reviewed it and gave it decent scores.
Nice.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to trying that out again with Sam Fisher. The Sam Fisher missions. See how how they do with those.
Yeah. I'm definitely
which I think is what they counted on.
Yeah, and that, I mean, if I'm honest, those were Splinter Cell's one of my favorite, probably might be my favorite Tom Clancy franchise ever. So that would be fun.
People are really jonesing for it to come back.
That would be like the day I get that news, I will be just absolutely thrilled. if and when it ever happens, I don't know if it ever will, but if and when it does, I will be thrilled. But since we're not playing Splinter Cell or the Division or Ghost Recon tonight, but we're playing Borderlands, we're playing this because we're really enjoying this as well. It's been really good to be back playing this. Before we get into that, we're gonna do what we normally do, and we'll talk about what we're drinking tonight.
Yes.
So Negan, I think it's Killjoy.
It's your turn to go first.
Is it my turn?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I'm torturing myself for one final week of juicy IPAs, even though, as Negan reminded me, and gave me a hard time about, the month has turned over. It is now April, and no longer the march of discontent where I was marching through all the juicy IPAs in search of one that was actually decent. But I bought one more because I wanted to represent something local. So I'm drinking Maplewood Brewery, which is in Chicago. Their Son of Juice IPA, which is a hazy, juicy. It is a New England IPA, and it has no real description on it, but this is a pretty cool can. It actually lists what they use to make it. So. The grains are Pilsner Flaked Oats, Golden Naked Oats. The hops are Mosaic, Simcoe Nugget, and Warrior. And the vitals are, it has low IBUs, 3 SRM, 6.3 alcohol by volume, and it's 1 pint in this can. And so that's what I'll be drinking tonight. Give that a try. I'm also pairing it. My other beverage pairing tonight is Limoncello La Croix. So
nice. Your favorite La Croix, if I recall correctly. It is your favorite.
It is my favorite, yes.
As a follow-up, last time you had that on stream, I had mentioned the limoncello liqueur as well.
Which I'd never heard of. I had
never heard of.
I didn't know. I am illiterate. I am alcohol illiterate when it comes to fancy drinks.
Probably thought I was making it up for a little bit, didn't you?
I did. I thought you were lying.
But what happened?
But you're not lying. You're not lying. I went and bought a bottle of limoncello, which is an Italian liqueur, and I did pair it with a little bit of limoncello La Croix, and it was actually delicious. So there's that.
Nice. Good to hear.
Nice after dinner dessert cocktail right there. I've only done it once. I haven't. It's very sweet. I don't do sweets a lot, but it was delightful. So nice recommendation. Thank you for that. And
You're welcome. Glad you're enjoying it.
I'm more culturally attuned than I once was. So there we go.
Exactly.
Since I won't be going to Italy during this COVID-19 outbreak pandemic, I can experience just a little bit of Italy right here at home, mixed with a little bit of Canada.
Yeah,
a little bit of Canada in the beverage, a little bit of Italy in the liqueur. So yeah, thank you, Negan. What are you drinking tonight, bud?
So I am drinking. I decided in celebration of us being in Borderlands 3 and some of the takedown farming we did earlier this week and going against the Valkyries, I actually found a German-style amber beer called Valkyrie. It's by a brewing company called Anagrin, which is out of Moore Park, California. And it's described as brewed with over 60% Munich dark malt. This alt-style amber ale has a distinctly malty and smooth taste. And then it also has like German Hercules and American Mount Hood hops.
Nice.
So it's an amber one. But yeah, I figured a Valkyrie sounds like a good one. Seemed like an appropriate Borderlands 3 tribute.
Yes, it does. And yes, we have been farming some Valkyries and trying to get you a redistributor. Is it redistributor?
Is that event still going on? Yes, redistributor we're looking for.
So they did not mention that they ended it. It was supposed to end today, but it was not on the list of changes. So maybe not.
We'll have to find out.
Who knows, right? So the other thing we did this week, so yeah, I mean, we're still putting our builds back together. The game, the level cap jumped up to 57, which adds 4 more points to your skill tree. So I was going to talk tonight about the build I'm running, because we never do build videos in this game. So I'll talk about mine, and maybe next week we'll talk about Negan's, because Negan's got a Zane chain. Zane, I don't know. You're Zane. You're a Zane.
I'm Zane.
You got a good Zane build. You got a strong Zane build. I am running kind of an interesting build, actually, but there's 2 ways to run it, and it's basically I'm running the Minesweeper comm, and the real key here in the Minesweeper comm is basically when you land a critical hit, it has 25% chance to drop a micro grenade that explodes after a short time. Just creates a ton of explosions, which actually cause splash damage. And splash damage heals me, and it gives me back additional grenades. So you can imagine that this has a lot of symbiosis, so to speak, right? It's a very symbiotic relationship. And I'm running this. Theoretically, you could run a Blastmaster comm in here with the exact same skill tree, and all you'd have to change is the comm and a couple of guns, and it would be very similar. But, in terms of damage output, the Blastmaster comm is very good for AoE damage and doing a lot of kind of mobbing or, providing CC for your group. This is very good for single point damage on a boss. And so I switched to this build this week, partially because I wanted to try it out, and partially because I gave all the pieces of my Blastmaster build, which is what I've run forever, to Horchata when he hit level 57. So I don't have him anymore. So I can't run that build. So I gave it all to him, and now I have this. That's the comm on it. You can see I farmed the heck out of the vending machine thing that was going on last week till I got one that had both weapon and splash damage on it. I'm running it with a last stand auto idle for some invulnerability when I drop below 50% health and a little bit of health on kill, although when we finish the DLC, whoever, when you finish this DLC, you get a artifact called the Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge, which gives you a lot of extra weapon damage. So as soon as I get that, that's going to be my artifact, probably in every build.
Right. That's probably why they're doing it on purpose, might be my guess.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of negates. The only one I'd be interested to see is what'll happen for you, because I know your artifact, you've got got the banjo, right? Is your artifact?
Yes.
And your build doesn't really work without the banjo, correct?
It has some possibilities. The banjo kind of makes it more fun, does the chaining and stuff like that with the shock damage and stuff like that when the bullet procs. So yeah, that's what we do there. But my builds build more off the seeing dead.
So it'll be interesting to see how it affects some of the. There are some builds that are very artifact dependent. Mine's not. I can run any artifact I want. This particular last stand auto idol has an area of effect damage roll on it, so that I'm running that, right? And then I run a stopgap for even more additional survivability. Because if there's one thing we've learned from these games, and we bumped up this week to Mayhem 4 again after refarming our builds, and the one thing that's true is if you're on the ground, you're not dealing damage. So I prefer to stay alive. I could run something else here like a big boom blaster, be a little bit squishy, but be constantly getting grenades and heavy ammo. If I've seen people run this build with several lobs or several flackers, and a lot of them will run the big boom blaster for the extra ammo that gets dropped on the ground. But hey, you could also run it with launchers. I've seen people run this build with a big boom blaster and then an ion cannon, critting with the ion cannon. Very strong, but squishy.
Does that actually work? Put out enough damage with an ion? I mean, I know ion cannons put out damage, but they also nerfed them. But I would imagine they shoot fast enough for their rate of fire is so slow. I mean, are you actually putting down people with it?
Well,
like it'll mob, or is it just a single boss?
It'll crit and it drops that grenade, right? Single boss. But if you've got a big boom blaster, every time you get hit, you have a pretty high chance that it's going to drop heavy ammo. So
okay,
you're constantly
getting ammo.
Yeah, and you'll see in a minute why it works in this build, why people can run ion cannons in this build when we get to the skill tree. And then for my grenade, I'm running a cloning matting tracker, just because it heals best. It's the best healing grenade. I've got some hexes, recurring hexes I can run and things, but I'm running that. So the skill tree, when you talk about the skill tree, we'll get into why. So when you get to 57, you can actually get 2 capstone talents unlocked with 57 points. You can get all the way to the bottom of 2 trees. So if you're running Moze, like 2 trees, right? Like that's a good question. Because you could run a deathless build with a bloodletter, which would be the red tree. But then what do you put with that? Do you put the blue tree with it or the green tree with it? I have that build also. I have level 57 bloodletter with splash damage, weapon damage, and I have a level 57 elemental projector deathless. That's decent. So I could totally run that. But I like this build better. So I'm maxing out the blue and the green trees, which are the Demolition Woman and the Bottomless Mags. Basically, when you look at it, what is happening and why you could run an ion cannon Negan is this some for the road talent, which Moze gains infinite ammo for a few seconds after she exits Iron Bear. And so this is what's called the bear hopping build, right? The whole thing's built around hopping in and out of my Iron Bear. I'm not staying in my Iron Bear for any amount of time. I'm just using it to trigger my anointments. But every time I hop out, I have infinite ammo for 5 seconds, which you can get a couple ion cannon blasts off in 5 seconds. And if you got a big boom blaster on and you're constantly picking up heavy ammo, you can see how that might work, right?
That works.
So that's why people do that. But yeah, basically what we're pairing together here is the ability to put together all these splash damage talents. So if you look at this, I've got, I'm maxed out on Fire at the Skag Den. I'm maxed out on Means of Destruction, which is giving me the grenades back and ammo back. The 2 into this are actually just coming off my comm. I didn't put anything into target cross promotion at all, but I get 2 off my comm. I've got to pull the Holy Pin maxed out, so my grenades have a chance to crit, which again drops those little micro grenades, right? Because my grenades crit quite frequently. And I can throw a lot of grenades because I basically have a never-ending supply of them. I have auto bear so that I can leave. We use the bear to distract. Obviously, if you think about the holy trinity here of like DPS, healer, and tank, Moze is supposed to be the tank. They don't really have a healer. I guess Flak kind of was intended to be the healer, but I don't know. I don't know. It's not a traditional healer. But Moze certainly was intended to be the true tank. And so there is definitely a threat component that they don't talk about in how the game's programmed. But when you pop that bear up, everything heads towards the bear. All the enemies do. So being able to leave the bear up and have her distract things is great. I've got Vampire.
The same thing. They do the same thing for the Digiclone with Zane.
Yeah.
As soon as you pop your Digiclone, so
everybody goes after
distracts
the Digiclone. Yep.
Yep.
Which is cool, right? I mean, that's a cool mechanic. And especially with the auto bear, just being able to like abandon the thing and let it just draw stuff to it, it's very strong.
Except when it gets in the way of Zane shooting things. But Negan's not bitter about that.
Yeah, except for that. Well, and the worst part is, right, Horchata has a Moze build too. So like
That's true.
and there's
yes.
2 auto bears like on the playing field. It is kind of not good, right? Like there's a lot in the way. I feel bad for you, man. Especially because your build is all about mobility and running around, and you got these 2 giant robots just out there.
Standing in my way, hip checking me. I'm like, what? What the? Come on now.
What's going on? Yeah. So then I've got Vampire maxed, which this is what's giving me the healing, from the grenade throws. Anytime I'm dealing splash damage, I'm getting health back. And of course, the grenades deal a lot of splash damage. All my weapons are going to have splash damage on them. Why can I carry out these grenades? This is just my favorite talent. You get a ton of grenades. To the last, this allows me to throw grenades while I'm in fight for your life, which, just additional survivability. And then short fuse, which what this allows is basically whenever I deal gun damage, there will be a secondary explosion on the target, like a little pop, almost like a little explosion. Very similar to the little grenades that get dropped when I crit. And again, these explosions deal splash damage and additional damage. And then those grenades that are dropping from my comm deal splash damage and additional damage. So again, I end up being very, very tanky and dealing a lot of splash damage. And then in the green tree, I'm taking all of Cloud of Lead, which is going to give me bonus incendiary damage. I've got 2 points in a match set, which means if I use weapons of the same brand, I get bonuses like additional mag size. That is helpful because I'm going to run a lot of Malawan SMGs. And you'll see I also often run sometimes I run 2 Jacobs guns.
So talk about that for just a sec. I thought Torgays were the ones. So you look for guns specifically that have splash damage on them is what you're looking for. But Torgays, I thought, are splash damage by default kind of things.
They are, yeah. And you would think I would run a lot of guns from them, right? But if you look at this, like the only one I have in here is the Lob, which, as we talked about today, it got nerfed. So I haven't played with it yet. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't. Torgay guns they don't crit a lot.
Oh, okay.
They do a lot of
splash damage and crit.
And a crit, but they don't crit a lot, so that's why. Like, if I were running the Blastmaster comm, man, that's like basically all I would run, right? Like, I would literally be running target guns all over the place just because they crit all the time. Or not crit, they splash all the time. And big splash radiuses, but they don't crit. Not to say they never crit. They don't
crit enough. You're looking for guns. Yeah, you're looking for guns that crit a lot. And precise. Yep. Okay. And then splash damage on top of that. Okay. So you got match set. Okay.
So then I've got Stoke the Embers all maxed out. This again, just increasing that incendiary damage. I deal a lot of incendiary damage. Redistribution. So after I score a critical hit, I regen ammo. So constantly again with the regenning. Now I'm regenning ammo for my crits and from my splash damage, right? So like, think about all the ammo I'm regenning. I basically, and you've experienced this with me, Negan. We will run a section of the takedown, come out of it, and you're like, I'm tapped. And I don't even have, like, if I go to the vending machine, it won't even let me buy ammo because I'm not actually out of it at all. I've gone through a whole section of the takedown, and before you make fun of me and say it's because I'm not shooting anything.
I wasn't going to say that part out loud, but now that you point it out, you're clearly just throwing grenades the whole time, All right.
But I'm not out of ammo. I'm not out of grenades. I'm getting ammo back all the time. Maxed out the scorching RPMs. This is fire rate and critical hit damage. Again, just strengthens those crits. Allows me to crit very quickly. Iron Bank is just mag size. Click, click. I gain additional gun damage as my magazine gets lower. Here's the beautiful thing, right? My magazine really never does get lower, as we just discussed. Like, basically, I am not going to run out of ammo. And a lot of times I can shoot a gun for almost infinite time period as long as I'm dealing splash and crits. But a lot of times it'll come down enough to be like half empty and then just stay there, which is great because I'm getting bonus gun damage based on how low, right? And so that ends up happening a lot, and that's very strong. Some for the road we already discussed. This allows me to basically get out of the bear, and if I've got a launcher of some sort or the lob, I mean, I can just rapid fire that thing because I'm basically not using ammo for 5 seconds. And finally, at the bottom of this tree, I get Forge, which is Moze constantly regenerates ammo for her currently equipped weapon. And it's 5% of mag a second, which is not amazing, but it's not bad. Then I have a couple extra points actually left over, which I threw into the top of the red tree. I threw them into armored infantry, which is, while my shields are active, I gain a damage reduction and gun damage. I'm getting an additional flat rate 9% gun damage here when my shields are up. And I'm taking an 8% damage reduction when my shields are up. I could put more into match set if I wanted and have even bigger mags, but since I'm never running out of ammo, I don't see a point in that. I probably could find something in the blue tree to put it into, but it would be about strengthening the bear, and I don't really need to do that. I could put, I mean, if we're going to use those points somewhere else, I could put it here, which is while moving, my handling and weapon swap and mode switch speed are increased, and I might activate the sprint and shoot at the same time thing. But honestly, man, I'm not, you know me, I'm not a running gunner. So whatever, It's not that important to me. And then for weapons here, I'm running the Vanquisher rocket pod, and I'm running it with a debuff on it. But some of the time I actually run, so I'll show you this, like this has been tested rather extensively. The Vanquisher rocket pods with nothing on them are actually the strongest weapons the bear has. So you put no additional modifier on them. If I'm running by myself, that's usually what I run, but if we're running against bosses, then I'll run this for debuffing them, right? So this debuffs the enemy, lowering their damage and increases the damage they take. Makes it, just an additional thing that the bear is able to do for us. So that's kind of what the build looks like. In terms of weapons, my new favorite gun is the Searing Trained Hellfire. I have one with a consecutive hits anointment on it. And so this gun crits a lot. It has a very small splash radius, but you can see there's 60% or plus 60 splash damage radius, right? So it does splash damage, and man, does that thing crit. And if you look at this gun, it just very high rate of fire, right? So that's become my go-to gun. You run with one of those sometimes as well, Negan, right? How does it play on your main build?
It plays really well in my Zane build. I do that one, and I have a boomer, a Searing Boomer, whatever it's called.
Yep.
That I'm also running.
Yeah,
Searing Dauntless Boomer. So I do both of those. And again, because we are a lot of fleshy things these last few days that we've been running, so it comes in really handy.
The Boomer is also a good. I feel like the Hellfire and the Boomer are very similar to each other.
They are. In fact, mine has plus 75 splash damage radius, so
Ooh, yours is better. So how, I guess my question there is, how come you haven't given me that?
Because it's anointed for barrier.
No, I have a Boomer actually. I just am not running it. Just giving you a hard time.
But I had the answer ready. Whether it's anointed or not, that's going to be my response from now on. It's anointed for barrier.
Mine, I actually have a Boomer with a consecutive anointment, and I actually have a Boomer with a 125 splash damage anointment on it too.
Nice.
So I don't need your Boomer. I just want to give you a hard time because I do often bank up a bunch of stuff to give you, and you never bank up stuff to give me. But that's okay. Whatever. Onward and upward.
Wow.
No,
kick me in the crotch. Good time right there. Hey everybody. Yeah.
I'm only kidding.
Cup check.
I'm only kidding. I'm not serious. Okay, so then the Gatling lead sprinkler. This is the gun that makes this entire build work. This thing, it says nothing about splash damage on it at all, anywhere. However, if you look at the red text of it, it says splish splash. It deals splash damage. Not only that, but it deals splash damage because it does, every time you crit with this gun, it creates a secondary explosion. If that sounds familiar, like one of the skills in my skill tree plus one of the skills in my comm, that would be accurate. So every time I hit a crit, 3 explosions occur. And if you know anything about the way they calculate damage in Borderlands, crits, multiple crits right next to each other actually multiply against each other. It's called crit stacking. This build is capable of massive crit stacks. You throw a couple grenades, you get the lead sprinkler out, you hit a bunch of crits. Suddenly you're critting for, upwards of almost 1 million damage, and things just literally melt off the screen. So there's that. Now, I did have to farm pretty hard, Jabber Mogwise, to finally get a Gatling lead sprinkler with the consecutive hits anointment. The reason being the lead sprinkler drops more frequently, not as an automatic weapon, but as a single shot gun. So only the Gatling lead sprinkler is automatic. And I will show you, so when I do, see, I'm cranking that thing. It's very inaccurate. So you got to be really Johnny on the spot with holding things steady. Things that have big crit spots are nice. Things with little crit spots are tough. In this case, I'm running a shred fire. I'm actually running the shotgun on it. And then the lob, which got nerfed today a lot.
So what you said a couple times now. So the lob got nerfed is what you're saying.
The lob got nerfed, yeah. The lob got nerfed. It used to shoot 3 projectiles. Now it only shoots 1. The one got buffed, but it's no longer 3 projectiles. So it took a significant...
That's a pretty big nerf.
Yeah, it's a big nerf.
Which makes sense, because I was given my first lob just recently, so it makes sense they nerf it right after I pick one up. Of course.
Well, Negan, this game has always conspired to take the fun away from you right when you get it.
That's true. That's very true. The developers sit there specifically and go, how can we fuck with Negan now? Okay, here we go.
Well, you got to realize they actually wait till you get the thing. They're watching your account. I remember we got us actually our first ion lasers.
Ion cannons,
yes. With good anointments, I might add. We farmed for those, and within the week they knocked them into the ground.
Killed it right away.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna get a complex.
I've had
I've
had a lob for quite a while, and I've run it for quite a while. But yeah, you just did get one, and it seems to be you. I guess that's really what I'm trying to say. It seems they have a vendetta against you.
Yes. Well, and another thing we're gonna learn is when there's a good gun, no matter what, don't tell Negan you have a spare. Right. Whenever there's a good gun, just don't even let Negan know about it, because that's what they'll do too. So because it screws everybody ultimately. So
it does. Yes.
I'm like the cooler. I'm the cooler of the game.
I'm going to run up and go through the lodge and try and find some enemies on their side so I can show you how this build performs. So for those of you who don't know too, there's been a whole bunch of... Oh yeah, I got to go somewhere. The lodge is... Well, we'll go to Cursehaven. The events that just ended, there was the vending machine event. You could get gold stuff out of the vending machine. Starting today for the next week or maybe 2 weeks now, you can get an increased amount of golds out of the slot machines, but you can also get an increased amount of grenades that fall out and explode on you. So there's that. High risk, high reward. But yeah, the slot machines are the place to go this time for increased legendaries. They do have an event going where if you're playing with friends, there's an increased drop rate from badass enemies. So those are the events going on at the moment, and maybe, but we're not totally sure, the takedown, shakedown might still be going on, but also maybe not. So those are the events going on right now, ways to farm gear. So this is showing you what the build looks like. You can see all those explosions. Negan frequently complains about what the screen looks like on his end. Something about stuff going
my
on.
eyes,
Too
my
much going
beautiful,
on.
beautiful eyes. The sweet burn.
So you can see those crit stacks. You can see the little micro grenades blowing up on these guys. Not getting quite the meltdown I want on them, but these guys move a lot, and I still haven't exactly figured out where their crit spots are, but I'll show you what my Hellfire looks like, because that's really where the fun comes in on. Yeah, I love that Hellfire.
I said, dang, Ed is doing some work.
Yeah, that gun does work.
Yeah,
and,
does.
As a reminder, we're on Mayhem 4. Just make sure I don't have an SMG. Yeah, SMGs are doing more damage. That's partly why. I was like, that feels very strong. Not like a little strong. That feels very strong. So it is a little strong because SMGs are buffed in this particular instance. But again, overall, it is just a strong build. And for single point damage, that's always where Moze lacks. And I think everybody's overlooked this comm far too long because people really got stuck on that 1 HP build, with the bloodletter and all that. That's really been everybody's go-to Moze build forever. And then people are running the fire hose, which is of course the Blastmaster. I forget who came up with the name fire hose for it, but that's been the other go-to build. And I don't think people have even looked at this Minesweeper comm. I think it might be my favorite one yet.
Uh-oh.
All right, so I'm doing no damage to this guy at all with a shotgun. Oh, but there I got it. Not sure how that worked, and then I fell off the bridge.
Nice. It's probably not a good place to go.
That's only going to cost me $10 million. Yep.
All right, well, I'll avenge your death for you.
8 million.
Yeah, I'm using a shot. Get rid of your shield. I
was using I had a shock weapon on.
Executive Olderidian.
Yeah, the Olderidian is a fun gun that switches elements. Submachine gun, though.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Each time you reload, it switches elements.
Oh, it's got a shield on front of it, so it reduces elemental damage as well. Okay. All right.
So I got some anarchies here. I got the Deluxe Anarchy. And I got the Unlimited Frozen Anarchy. And I got an optimized V system. Oh.
So close. So close.
Not the V system. You need the Q system.
Q system, that's right. It's more fun.
It is a lot more fun. Yeah. Yeah, so the new guns in the DLC are really cool and fun. A lot of good stuff in there. And again, that when we get there, that artifact is going to be nice. Looking forward to that. That'll just further push the damage. But I've had a few conversations this week with some people on Reddit about Moze builds, and a lot of people really feel like you can't use Moze on Mayhem 4, and I don't know, and I've been using it all week. We've done some takedown on Mayhem 4. We've done a lot of stuff on takedown 4, and I love this build. I don't have any problem with it. And have you felt like it's a liability to us as a group, Negan?
No, actually,
Mayhem
it's been doing
no,
it's been doing pretty good. There's nothing wrong with it. I haven't seen it be weak or cause any problems or be in the way. Other than your Iron Bears, big ass getting in my way trying to shoot. But beyond that, there's nothing that I can say against it. It does work.
Yeah, and I'll be honest.
Guys.
I will tell you, like, the other thing people often say is like Moze, like, there are some very specific pieces you're going to have to farm for this, right? Like, you are going to need, if you want the survivability, you're going to have to farm somebody for that auto idle. Most people would run this with a Kai's Worth from the takedown, but this one's a total dad build, man. And same goes for the Blastmaster. People complain that the Blastmaster build is hard to put together because you need raid weapons, but man, you do not need that. You can run a Wester gun, and the Wester gun works just as good for everything you need there. When I need to deal splash damage with an element, I run a Wester gun. Or you can run the Hellfire. They're very strong. There's absolutely no need to go run the the raid in order to get the pieces for this build. You can go run the raid after you're done putting the build together, but everything in this build is easily farmable. Yeah, I mean, it's easily farmable. Total dad build. You know, you can go farm the Jabbermogwais. You get the trained Hellfire and the lead sprinkler from them. Hardest piece to get here is going to be the grenade, the cloning maddening tracker. That is a hard piece to come by. That comes out of any machines. That took well over a month for me to find that. I don't even have a level 57 of it. But you can run a hex. The hex works, 98% is good, especially if you get a reoccurring hex. So you don't sound like you need the cloning maddening tracker. Yeah, total dad build. So anyway, that was all I had to say. How are you feeling about your beer, Negan?
I'm feeling pretty good about it, actually. It's really good. It's not bitter like the last couple have been. This is a nice amber. It's definitely malty. It's definitely described as malty, and it lives up to that description. So it's I got to say, it's probably an 8 out of 10 for me this week. It's definitely up there. It's absolutely entering my rotation for a couple reasons. One, it's available at Trader Joe's near you, which I have a connection inside Trader Joe's, so I can get this.
Do you, Negan? Do tell. Yeah,
I do. And so know it's
know
really
somebody
good.
who works there, huh?
I do. Although she's made the bad decision to marrying me, but that's a whole nother story. It's a whole different issue.
Right. We got to question her. We got to question her thinking.
Yes,
yeah.
Her decision process, exactly. What about you? What did you think of yours?
It's time to be done with. It's fine, man. It's good. It's actually good. I'm glad to support a local brewery. I think I'm just done with juicy IPAs for now.
So it gets a whatever your score is, it gets a +1 for being a local brewery.
It as far as juicy IPA goes, I'm gonna say this is an 8 out of 10. So under your rules, it's a 9 out of 10. It's just I think I'm just done with them.
Gotcha.
I think it might be Kolsch season coming up here.
It is approaching.
Something.
Warm weather, something. Kind of spring-like weather's coming in.
Something else season.
Makes total sense.
It's something else season for me. And so next week I'll try something else altogether. But it was actually all right. And a much better review than Horchata gave this game, which, originally he gave this game like a 2 out of 10, hot steaming pile of poop.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think he's maybe again, maybe he's revised to like maybe a 7 out of 10.
Well, yeah. And his complaints, we've mentioned them before. The complaints he has were valid, that the leveling up process to go through, and he likes playing some games solo, so he'll go in and he'll play Div 2 solo and stuff like that.
He plays a lot solo.
Yeah. This game isn't necessarily too terribly forgiving if you're running solo. And the leveling up process isn't forgiving either. It's kind of the opposite of other games where the leveling process for other games is pretty easy. Then you get to end game and it kind of sucks. Whereas this game, and I had the same feeling when I first started, you struggle through those first few levels. And then once you get to end game, you realize
leveling up is hard.
Yes.
Leveling up is hard in this game, and leveling up and then getting done with the game but not being at end game, that phase is very hard.
Yes.
It's like an attrition thing. Like they keep you waiting. You're already but not yet. Right? I mean,
you're so close. You're so very close. Oh, bad guys.
You finished the game, the content, but you're not at end game.
Mm-mm. Yep.
And it is unpleasant. It's very unpleasant. So yeah, to be fair, that is true. But then, if you like, he has a different experience, right? Because he walked in endgame, and I handed him a fully built, fully optimized level 57 Blastmaster build with guns, comm, shield, last stand auto idle. I'm in a whole 9, right? So he's getting to experience the good part of this game right out of the gate. Because even after you get to 57, if you got to still go farm parts for your build, that's in some cases could take quite a while, right?
It can be a little suffering, but it's still doable. I mean, once you get past the story and you're at the end game stage, maybe not at 57 or whatever like that. And we didn't touch on it, but it's interesting how the first DLC dropped and you went to 53. It was only a +3, and how a little bit frustrating that was. It was just a little bit of a bump. It didn't do a whole lot for you. I felt the same thing was going to happen when they only bumped it up 4 until it was explained to me that no, that opens up a whole new capstone, opens up that whole new level down at the bottom. So it can make a significant difference to what you're doing and what your builds are and stuff like that. So
That's also a huge build change. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess that's really the message for this week. We're really enjoying this. We'll try and finish the DLC soon. The other thing we did is we got our friend Ghostmaker to come over and play this with us. So Negan and I are starting second tunes. I think Negan already had one, but we're at you're at level 19, I'm at 17. We're going all the way back through the story again. We may not have finished the DLC by next week, but we may have second tunes to play. I'm doing an Amara. I think Negan's doing a Flak.
Yeah, doing a Flak.
Ghostmaker's doing an Amara, so we'll have some additional builds and additional group comp, and it'll be fun. With that, though, I think we're going to sign off tonight and actually go play with those low level tunes. And
sounds good. All right.
Cool.
In that case, on that note, see ya.